Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I am delighted that you've decided to join us today. Well, we're back with our live shows, and today I decided to do this one on my own. The Joy Show really started with the idea that there is just one you. Yes, joy is an acronym, just one you. When we come to understand our unique nature and the fact that all of us are created equal, we start to realize that the potential that we possess is far beyond anything we probably imagined. Sometimes we've been raised to think of what we can't do rather than what we can do. And sometimes we've bought into that. We've believed what people have told us that somehow we're not good enough, or we're not smart enough, or fast enough, or tall enough, or small enough, or who knows what the excuses are. But there's so many stories we're told throughout our life experience that leads us sometimes to believe that something about me is wrong, bad, or broken and flawed. So I'm here to tell you that none of that is true, that each one of us is in fact born perfect, whole, and complete, that each and every one of us is in fact unique and special. Yes, everyone is unique and special. When we can start to understand our uniqueness, I think that gives us some latitude in how we choose to live our lives, because there's a freedom in loving who you are, living from that authentic place, living in truth, really. When we live from our true, authentic self, our true, authentic power, we become change agents in the world. We begin to model behaviors that are powerful, positive, productive, and we create a greater sense of peace and well being, not only in our lives ourselves, but also the lives around us, because we're all connected. You see, what my belief is that there is one power in the universe: infinite, creative, intelligent, all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere present equally. Okay, you got that. Everywhere present equally. So, this energy, call it God or universe, spirit, first cause, call it Fred or Frank, it doesn't really matter what name you give it. Of course, it's impossible for us to fully understand or comprehend or even name something that is infinite. But we're here today to explore the idea that I am one with this. You are one with this. And in that oneness, we actually have all that we need, all that is necessary to create a healthy, happy, and positive life. Now, don't get me wrong, that does not mean there will not be bumps in the road. That does not mean you will never have a bad day. And it doesn't mean you won't, break your shoulder because you made a little mistake somewhere along the way. What it does mean, though, is regardless of circumstance, there is a knowingness of the infinite potential possessed by each one of us, that we begin from a place of, well, this is what it is. We can't change what is. However, we can change how we feel in the moment, which then is going to create our next experience. Yes. So we have the ability to change our thinking and change our life. Yes, in fact, we do. And the way that happens is we begin by changing little things here and there. I broke my shoulder a week and a half ago, and yeah, it's uncomfortable. It was very painful at the time, dislocated and fractured. And now that it's back in place and the fracture is healing, but it is what it is. Now, I could be really upset and miserable about it, but that doesn't change it. It's still going to take 6 weeks to heal or thereabouts, or I can continue on. And so, even in the ambulance, making jokes with the EMS people, or in the hospital, making jokes with the nurses and doctors and stuff. There's something about being a light, even when you feel kind of dark. When you're in pain and things aren't going well, we can, vent on the people around us, but it's not their fault and it's not their problem. Or we can accept that it is what it is and begin to do our very best to manage it in that moment, knowing that this too will change. It's the constant in the universe. Change is constant. So even in that moment, as we were driving to the hospital, it was a very bumpy ride in the back of the ambulance, which of course was excruciatingly painful. And I just looked at the EMS guy with me and I said, it'd be wonderful if they paved these roads. Of course, they are paved, but given the number of potholes or whatever in the road, I sometimes wonder. But again, it just creates a chuckle and an opportunity to interrupt the distress that I was using humor to disrupt that as often as possible. Now, the journey that we're all on is we're going to have things happen in our lives. Pardon me. We'll have ups and downs and we'll have moments of distress. We'll have, moments where people around us might be upset with us for some reason. But whatever is going on, the very best we can do is explore how we feel about any given situation. And then based on that feeling, explore possibly where it may have came from. And could we do something about it to make it so that the current moment is a little easier to tolerate? Now, I think all of us have the ability to be kind to ourselves and to those around us. And sometimes when we're not feeling so good, we might vent and maybe even blame others for what's going on for us. And it's ineffective. It just creates incredible struggle for everybody. So when we're thinking about an idea like joy, joy is a natural attribute within every single individual. It's something we're born with. Now, in order to release it, right, we want to allow that joy to actually come out into the world. In order to release it, we must, in fact, begin to look at life from a slightly different vantage point. Begin to look at things happen. And, the big question is, why me? Well, I say, why not me? Everybody has an experience, and I believe we came into life to experience living in this third dimension. And so one of the wonderful things about being here and now is that we can actually look at any experience that we're having, see it as merely an event, and how I think about that event will charge my emotional response. Okay. So let's say somebody rear ends me as I'm driving down the street and smashes up my car. Now, I get out of my car. Maybe I'm really angry. And the first thing I want to do is yell and scream at whoever's behind me. Is there actual benefit to that? I often look at things like road rage and think, yes, if I get mad and angry like that, what have I accomplished? Well, for myself, I've raised my blood pressure and maybe reduced my life expectancy by moving into that really angry raging place. But if I look at this accident and I go, well, I'm sure the guy behind me did not plan it, right? He didn't wake up in the morning and go, oh, I know when Barbara Jean will be on the road, I want to get her today. No, that didn't happen. It was an accident, right? Maybe could have been paying more attention, whatever, but me berating that individual would not make a difference to the outcome, except it might harm both of us, right? So we have a choice in that moment. And I, I actually had 3 rear enders within, I don't know, about a month. No real damage done except on the last one. But what was funny was one of the guys was on his phone. And so when I got out and looked at my car, there was no damage. And he looked at his, no damage. And he goes, sorry about that, but I was on my phone. And I'm going, you're not supposed to be on your phone when you're driving. And he was texting somebody. So I just looked at him and went, all right, well, have a good day. And then I was hit and run another, or hit, I wasn't hit and run, I was rear-ended again. And the guy, I don't even think he wanted to get out of his car because I'm sure he thought I was going to really lose it. But the truth is, I went and took a look, there was no damage. And I just said, hey, maybe pay a little more attention. but getting angry wouldn't have made a difference. And then the other accident, it was at winter, and there was somebody who slid on ice and slid into my car. And yeah, there was some damage to the bumper, but you know, we talked about it, and she paid for the damage, and that was that. So it was all fine and well. There's always a moment where we can choose what our response will be, because every event is actually just neutral until I look at it and judge it as something else. If I say it's bad, then my experience becomes angry or frustrated or annoyed or anxious or whatever the feelings might be, but along the negative spectrum. And if it's something really wonderful, then it might be excitement, joy, bliss, laughter, celebration. But again, the event of itself is neutral. And that's the point that I really want to make, is the event of itself is neutral. Now, how do I know that every event is neutral? I know that because every one of us will experience it differently. And if it was a constant, we would all experience it the same. And we don't. We definitely don't. So at this time, as we're going through life today, I mean, since COVID, there seems to be some things that have really caused a lot of challenges for many of us, rising prices, inability to get certain things that we're accustomed to getting, longer wait times, maybe for medical support. Whatever's going on is going on. And what's wonderful about this New Thought teaching is that we have the ability to change our thinking. And in doing that, and we all have this ability, in changing our thinking, we actually change our emotional response to things. So if I look at, somebody rear-ending me and commenting that, but I was on my phone. That's why it happens. Well, it's not really my fault because I was on my phone. Makes me laugh, right? That guy brought me more joy than he did the struggle. I was like, "Oh, man, don't tell a cop that, you get a big fine." But, we can look at it from different perspectives. I remember, my former husband was dying, and while he was in hospital for about 3 weeks before he passed, and while he was there, he told every nurse and doctor, everybody who worked on him, he would take the time when they left to say, "Thank you. I love you." Yeah. And he was in excruciating pain. He went from golfing with his son to being a quadriplegic in a minute, having to go on a ventilator to breathe, and paralyzed from the neck down. So his life was cut short. He was only 62. And after 3 weeks, when they couldn't do anything about it, he just said, "Please unplug me, because I'm not living like this, and I'm not expecting my family to live with me like this." But throughout that whole time, he was so, I don't know how he did it, but he was filled with love and joy. Love and joy don't happen because everything's perfect. Love and joy happen because we decide. We decide to be kind. We decide to be respectful. We decide to be loving. We decide to be compassionate. We decide to look at each other and realize that we're all children of God, that each and every one of us is part of this infinite universe, right? There's only this one thing, and we all live, move, and have our being in it. So it's not that God is up in the sky somewhere passing judgment and criticism on all of us, but rather God is the energy of the universe itself, and it is the energy that I live. It's my body, mind, and soul, and it is yours as well. So when we begin to understand the universe in a new way, when we begin to see that God is not some judgmental guy passing out, blessings and curses, but rather the energy vibration of the entire system, then we begin to see things from a new perspective. And as we think, we begin to move that energy. So, what is it that we're thinking about? And what are we focused on? You see, when we focus on our problems, if you haven't noticed, tend to expand a little, right? They tend to grow. Our problems get bigger. When we focus on what's really good and wonderful, it's not that the problem goes away. It's just that I think about it differently. It no longer holds me hostage, but rather is this, it just is what it is. I'm having a day. And believe me, I have mine, and I'm sure you have yours. But all of it is us experiencing this remarkable opportunity of living in the third dimension, living in this space and time, beginning to see the changes that are happening and the world as it's evolving, and seeing, where it was, say, 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago or even 50 years ago compared to where it is today. And we look at today and we might go, well, the good old days were better. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They were they were just as messed up as the fun good old days we're in now. The interesting thing is we always want to go back, but I want you to really think about that back. Where were we? What were we doing? Were we any better off than we are today? And when we're living in truth, what we're doing is we're really acknowledging and living in this energy or vibration of possibility. We're using the faculty of imagination to create a life that is brilliant and beautiful. We're ready to step into the stream of expression and allow it to flow unencumbered so that we might achieve our greatest dreams and hopes and wishes and all the rest of it, right? So, this life, there's no destination, there's only living. And the more we can open ourselves up and allow ourselves to really feel and to really accept life as it is for what it is, there's a huge shift that occurs and we experience joy. We experience joy when we stop resisting life. Yeah. So what is the point of all of it, right? I think we come into this experience and as we grow, there's a part of us that as we find our spiritual nature, we start to think that, we got to get spiritual. And I'm here to tell you that you are spiritual. Uh, just what we are, spiritual beings. And the challenge that's facing us is how do I, as this infinite creative spiritual being, live in this finite experience? Because that's what it is, right? Right now, it feels like it doesn't move easy and it's a bit of a challenge. But what if, as we were going along, we just said, you know what? Today is today. And I'm going to take it for what it is. And I'm going to do what I can. And I'm going to accept the things that I can't change or can't do. And I'm going to live in this moment with a feeling of gratitude, feeling of love and acceptance. And I'm going to find a way to honor the people around me, those I know, and those I've yet to meet. Everybody. You see, as we move along, that joy is an interesting thing because it's a natural part of us. And if we just allow it to come up, but we hold back. I don't know if you've noticed that about yourself, but sometimes we hold back. We don't want to be too enthusiastic, or maybe we start crying because we're super excited or joyful, or we're very sad and hurt. We start to cry and it's like, I can't do that, I can't do that, and we start trying to pull it back and make it stop. Why would we do that? When I look at tears, I think it's just the pain flowing away, right? The joy bubbling up to the surface, and my willingness to let it be seen. We have an opportunity to be truly remarkable, to be, I don't know, blessed in ways that we hadn't even imagined. But it begins with how we think. See, we look at life and we focus on the bad. I know I have in the past. Most of us have at some point in time or another. But if you're focused on the past, have you not missed out on what's happening in the moment? Think about that. See, sometimes we're so mad about something that happened, with a sibling or a parent or a friend, and we're so upset about it that we can't even enjoy the current moment. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's time for us to accept that each moment is a moment of itself. And as the Buddhists would say, there is pain in life, guaranteed. We'll all experience pain. Suffering, however, is optional. So, what causes suffering? And think about it for a minute. Maybe your husband yells at you for something, or your wife is mad at you, or your kids are not listening. What happens to us often is we start thinking about the event. And as we think about it, we label it as bad and wrong. So that person didn't have the right to think that. They didn't have the right to say that. How could they think that way? What is going on? This is wrong and bad. And we start thinking about that. And so we build the energy in our mind. And we're building and building and building this energy of frustration and annoyance and anger. And it's building and it's growing. Why is it building and growing? Because that's what I'm thinking about. And the more I think about how unjust, unfair, how unreasonable, whatever it is that's going on for me, as I'm thinking about those things, all I'm doing is creating suffering in my mind. And as long as I keep thinking those thoughts, I get to suffer. However, if I take a breath and pause for a moment and decide, I can decide to think about something else. I can decide to let it go. I can go to the individual who said or did something and say, "Excuse me, but this was said, and here's how I now feel. I'm feeling really hurt or upset." Or we don't have to go to a person and expect them to forgive or change or whatever, but we can do it for ourselves. Each one of us has the power to change anything and everything in any given moment, and merely changing our thinking does it. I know, how simple, right? Well, it's very simple, but extremely difficult to do in the moment. I had an experience last week where I booked an Airbnb for 2 days, and then the host got back to me and said, "Look, nobody's coming in on the Friday. Why don't you stay an extra day?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And then on Friday morning, I get an email from him going, "Thank you so much for staying with us." And when I called him to say, "I thought we were staying till Saturday," he goes, "Oh, no, somebody else booked it." So I'll be honest, I had a couple hours where I was a little steamed, but then I sat back and thought, why? Why am I getting all upset? Just pack up and go home and you'll be comfortable and all will be well. And so I got over it after I phoned Airbnb and complained. But it's like, we have those moments where we go, why is this happening? And, who knows why? That's a question we want to like refrain from asking, I think. And instead look at, well, it is what it is. This experience has happened. My day is now changed. And I'm going to make the best of it. Or not. I mean, I can continue to suffer. That's not a problem. I can just continue to let my mind go round and round. That guy, he had no right. What was he thinking? I could let it go for days, weeks, months, even years. Any of you ever do that? I used to in the past, but I've learned that the only person it hurts is me. My unforgiveness hurts me, nobody else. So when I can forgive myself or others, what I'm doing actually is freeing up my energy of living. When I let go of past hurts, what happens is I'm free to love and to play and to be joyful. You see, forgiveness is not saying something's okay or saying what a person did was fine by me. What it's saying is what you've done is unreasonable and I won't accept it. And so I'm going to sever the chain that I've got binding us, and I'm going to begin to look at my life from a new vantage point, and I'm going to change the narrative. And I'm going to forgive myself, and I'm going to forgive you. But I'm the one who's winning because when I forgive myself, I freed myself from that loop, a continual loop that goes, oh, poor me. I'm a victim. A friend of mine used to say, there are no victims, there are only volunteers. So I invite you to take the time to think about your life and to think about the things that trigger you or upset you, and ask yourself the question when you feel really upset by something, when have I felt this way before? And then just trust whatever memory pops up and work with that memory. You can heal it, move it, change it, and begin to create something really remarkable for yourself. So on that note, let's take a little commercial break. You're watching The Joy Show here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Barbara Jean, and I will be back right after this. Don't go.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center Kitchener, Home Center for Spiritual Living La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspired.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back. Well, I wanted to start off with a quote by Ernest Holmes from The Science of Mind. And this is in his Meditations for Self-Help. And he wrote, peace, poise, and power. Peace, poise, and power are within you, are within me, for they are the witnesses of the inner spirit of all truth, love, and wisdom. I am at peace within me, and all about responds to that great calm of the inner soul which knows its rightful place in the all good. Power is born from within me and passes into my experience without effort or labor. I rest in security and peace, for the inner light shines forth and illumines the way. When we begin a journey of spiritual expression, it's not that we're becoming spiritual. It's because we're acknowledging that we are spiritual and that our human experience, if fully tapped into our spiritual nature, it can actually become easier to navigate. It's not that life all of a sudden becomes a bed of roses and all is, sunshine and puppy dogs, but rather there is an energy or vibration that causes us to attract like energy. So when we're really peaceful, around us, we will find there's a greater sense of peacefulness. The people we hang with, the people we live with, there will be a greater sense of calm. That as we model that behavior, it sort of spreads. It's just like, COVID spread around the planet, lickety split. Wouldn't it be nice if peace and poise surrounded the planet and lickety split? It was a new idea. That would be great. So the idea is that we live in this universe and that the universe is being us, or God, if you want to call it that, or spirit is being us. So every cell of my body, the activity of my mind, the life that I live, all of it is happening within the universe, not separate from or different than, but within it. And because I'm created in the image and likeness, what it means is the universal energy is my energy. So I am one with all of it. There is no distinction between me and it. There's only this one thing. So as we relax in that understanding, we start to realize that if that's true for me, then that's true for everyone. And if it's true for everyone, then that means the person sitting in front of me that may be mad at me or yelling at me is really no different than me. In fact, they are an aspect of myself. So oftentimes when I see people upset with me, I want to go within myself, because if I'm feeling annoyed or frustrated or hurt by whatever's being said, I want to go within me and find the trigger of that, the initial point of reference that has caused me to react in the way that I am. So whatever I'm feeling had a starting place. And sometimes when I ask the question, when have I felt this way before? All of a sudden, I'll have a memory of when I was 4 or 5 years old. Someone said or did something that hurt my feelings, made me feel less than. And as a result, that then, of course, got suppressed, because when I was little, children were to be seen and not heard. So I suppressed a lot of that emotion and just, it was what it was. And I just suppressed, suppressed, suppressed. What happens though when we do that is something's going to trigger it. And because we've been suppressing it for so many years, it's a little bit like a pressure cooker. It's like it's built up pressure in there, and all of a sudden somebody says some little thing and poof, the top blows off, and there's a big angry thing happen, when really we're not even angry for the reason we think we are. That's why it's so important to pause, to take a moment, to just go, I'm feeling a lot right now. And is it reasonable given what the person said or did, or the experience I'm currently finding myself in? And if I find that it's a bit more extreme than what I expected for that type of event, then what I have to do is look within myself and choose something else. So for me, I take the time to explore, how I'm feeling, and to ask those questions, to go deep. I want to know me. because knowing me frees me to experience life and to live life in a way that is very powerful, very positive, and very productive. It allows me to heal the wounds of the past and to begin to live a life that really makes me happy. And I am. This is probably my best year ever, and I'm happy. I love my life. Did I break my shoulder a week and a half ago? Yeah, didn't love that so much, but it heals, and luckily we heal, right? And things change. But if I were to be angry and upset and why me, and well, that causes a lot of frustration. And that's where the suffering comes in because I'm playing it over and over again, wishing it was different. It isn't different, it is what it is. It's one of my favorite reminders. It is what it is. And what is has already been created. I cannot change what is. However, I may not be able to change what is, but I can change how I feel about it. I can change how I look at it. I can look at it and laugh and go, well, you really, you really created a mess there, but it is what it is, and get on with the day. You see, the journey that we're on is individual. It is something for each one of us to figure out. It's not something that we can, you know, manipulate or coerce. It just is. And change is always going to happen, and events are going to happen. But we're here to experience living. And it wouldn't be much of an experience if every single day was exactly the same. If there was never a challenge, if there was never a moment of great elation or a moment of great distress. It's like those moments add the texture and the flavor to what is living. It's like looking at a beautiful tapestry in a museum. The tapestry is woven with all these different colors of threads. And somehow all of it creates this beautiful picture. You think, wow, how did that happen? Single individual threads, barely visible on their own, but string them all together and you can create a masterpiece. We as individuals are creative beings living a life that is truly spectacular. And we're living it in a way that allows us to honor each other. We have the ability to begin to look at the world and our experiences in a brand new way, beginning to see them as not just a moment in time, but rather a full on experience of life. And to jump right in with both feet and to feel the vibration of living fully, stepping into different things that maybe we're not sure about, right? Sometimes something new is coming and we get a little anxious, a little afraid of it. But what if instead we went, well, I'm feeling a little fearful, but I'm going to call it excitement. It's just like there's an acronym for fear that I think came out of A Course in Miracles, and it's false evidence appearing real. Yes. Because sometimes what we fear is something we've created in our imagination. Well, I created another one because sometimes when I look at the feelings of being afraid, you get that in your pit of your stomach, kind of fearful. And I feel that and I go, I feel the same way when I'm really, really excited. I get those same little butterflies around in my stomach. So what if instead of being fearful, I changed the acronym to feeling excited and ready? Wow. Feeling excited and ready. So it's like something's coming up. It's a big change. I'm not sure how to handle it. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm feeling excited and ready. By telling myself that, what I've done is I've changed the narrative. See, if I go, oh my God, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous, that enhances those feelings of nervousness and fright. But if I call it excitement, there's an elation, there's a joy wrapped in that that I go, oh, what's coming? What's next? And there's something truly beautiful about that, where I feel the essence of life and I know that whatever's going on is absolutely perfect. All is well. So we have an opportunity to live in a new way. And it doesn't require us to, go and change our hairstyle or lose weight or get married or get divorced or have kids or don't have kids, whatever. Like none of that matters. The only thing that truly matters is, can I love me as I am where I am? Can I accept me as I am where I am? Can I forgive me for all that I've done or all that I may do? And am I willing to stay in that place of love, acceptance, kindness, respect every moment of every day of my life? And if I'm willing to do that, am I also willing to forgive myself when I slip? And that's an important one, because we'll slip. We'll have a moment. It's okay. You're human. Humans have moments. See, we forget. You see, being a spiritual being, when we come into this life, we soon forget that we're a spiritual being. And we begin to believe that we're this flawed human being, that we are sinners, that we've done something wrong. Well, to sin means to miss the mark, right? It's an archery term. And so, yeah, we miss the mark sometimes. But should we be condemned for that? Or should we look at ourselves in the mirror and go, well, you made a mistake. Now what? Now what? With a sense of excitement and elation. Now what? What am I going to do next? See, we have the opportunity to create our lives in any way we choose. We can choose to live healthy, successful, peaceful lives, whether in fact we have the perfect experience or not. We can look at the experience and go, I don't like it. But if I focus on what I truly desire, what I truly love, what I truly want, rather than what I don't want, I will in fact move toward the greater good. It's up to me. But it takes a moment in time every day for me to remember that I'm here to live. I'm not here to put in time. I'm not here to get to retirement. I'm not here to get old enough that I get out of school or get out of university and get a job and get married. I'm not, right? Like we want to look at life from a new vantage point, that it is an event that is continuous and constant, always changing, always moving, always in flux, always in flow. And I am along for the ride. And I can see it as something remarkable and exciting and beautiful, or I can be fearful and sit with great trepidation moment by moment. You see, it's up to us. It's up to us to decide, what kind of life do I want to live? What kind of life do you want to live? Where are you at in this grand scheme of living thing? And are you ready to just take the brakes off, set the fear on the shelf, and explore your true nature? Forget all the shoulda, woulda, couldas that people told you throughout your life. Forget all the things people said you are or you were or you would be, and look within yourself and go, who am I? What do I love? What sets my soul ablaze? What makes me excited and delighted and ready to take on any challenge? What is that? And if I can tap into that and live from there, I begin to create the most remarkable experiences ever. Life. Life is a remarkable and beautiful thing that we get to have for a time. Some of us are here for an hour. and some of us for a month, some of us for 10 years, and others for 20, and some for 100. Life is not about duration. It's about the experiences we have while we're here and the good that we do as we live in this world. And I think there's a lot of good that is being done in our world today. And yeah, we can look at the problems. Are there problems? Sure, there are. Aren't there always? But looking at the problem and dealing with it from the problem only creates more problems. Yeah, I know. What does that mean? But if we were to look at the problem and go, I wonder what caused that. Now we're cooking with grease. Now we're cooking with fire. Whatever we're cooking with, I don't know. I don't cook. But if we can look at everything and go, now what? This is what's going on, but what would I like to see instead? What caused this to happen? And if I could figure out the cause, could I figure out a way to ensure that it isn't repeated? So, can I go back to cause and look at how to work from there to create a greater outcome in the future? See, most often we're looking at problems and we're trying to solve problems, but we're often trying to solve them with the same mindset that created them. And that won't work. However, we have the opportunity to go, what caused that? What caused that thing to happen? We look at the wars in the world. There are so many wars going on right now. It's quite awful. And yet it keeps happening. Why? Well, a lot of money is being made off these wars. So that would be part of it. You've got a bunch of contractors who deliver machinery and explosives and whatever else. Makes a lot of money. It's a big business. But is that really where all our money should go? I mean, that's one place. But what if we found a way to solve these conflicts? What if we went back to cause and went, what is it? What is it that we need to do differently in order to affect a different result? See, this is where we are. This is what we're doing right now. And if we will take the time to go within, to get quiet for a moment, ask the questions, what can I do? How can I be in order to effect positive change? That's what we're looking for. And it can't be, me wanting to change my husband because I can't change him. He can change him, but I can't. But I can change me. You see, we only have power in our own life, nowhere else. Any other power we've inflicted on somebody else is a false use of power and isn't power at all. It's manipulation. But true power is the energy and vibration within each one of us. And when we come back to ourselves and we live in our own lane, right? I see something going on in the world I don't like. I go back within myself and I ask myself, what is it in me that is resonating with that? What aspect of me has been denied or been judged or criticized for being similar to that? And what is it that I can do to make a difference? So we begin to look at cause. And when we go back to cause, we actually have the ability to make substantial changes and to do it very quickly and very easily. In the science mind, we teach that our mind is powerful, that the universe in which we live is intelligent, and that we use that global universal intelligence is within each one of us. And we have the ability to create our lives in harmony with the universe if we so choose. And we can begin to effect change that is beyond maybe what we thought was possible, or maybe what we thought was possible for us. But every one of us has the opportunity to do random acts of kindness. Yes. Oh, they're so fun. They're so fun. I remember driving across the Coquihalla Highway in British Columbia, Canada, and at the time, there was a $10 fee to drive the Coquihalla. That was the toll. And so I paid my toll and I paid for the car that would come behind me. And we took off and we're driving along and I'm looking in the rearview mirror and the car behind me is still sitting at the toll booth. I looked at my girlfriend. I said, I'm not sure why they're still sitting there. And it was like the longest time, like we're getting further and further away. They're still at the toll booth. And so I was just laughing. I guess they're probably trying to figure out who paid our toll and why. Me, it was just a random act of kindness, but they ended up catching up to us at one point and looked over and waved and smiled and said, thank you. I just smiled back and waved and said, have a great day. But as we journey along, we can do these little things. We can do a small kindness, and it might be just holding a door for a mom with a stroller, uh, taking the time at a street light when you have an elderly person crossing who's walking slowly. Just be patient, let them take their time. They'll get across eventually, and we'll get where we're going. We have the ability to change the narrative, to begin to look at life from a new perspective, to begin to share beauty and humor and love rather than resentment, anger, and frustration. We can allow ourselves to be who we were created to be. Maybe our parents said we can't be that or we can't do that. But as adults now, we get to choose. We get to choose. A friend of mine wrote a children's book. I can't remember the name exactly, but it's available on Amazon. Her name is Mel Horvath, and the book is called something about the can'ts. But if you go onto Amazon or wherever and just type in Mel Horvath book in the book section, it should come up. It's a children's book, and it's all of the times that we're told can't, and then switching that around to I can. And so it's really exciting to begin to get the message that, yes, I can. I may have been told not to do things. There it is, a serious case of the can'ts. That's my beautiful producer, Deja, coming up with the perfect thing every time. This book is absolutely delightful for every age. It's great for kids, but it's great for adults too, to remember that all the ways you were told you can't do something, all the ways you believe that you can't do something, let's switch that around and begin to realize we can. We can do anything we set our minds to. We actually all have the ability to be exactly who we were created to be. And sometimes the messages we received as children suggested otherwise. So let's erase those from our memory. Let's remember instead why we came into this life experience. What is it that we bring that is our gift to humanity that no one else on the planet can do in the way that we can do it? We each have an individual gift that we must give to the world. Do you know what yours is? Do you have an idea of what it is? And are you ready to share it? I think it's time. We're journeying along and we're doing the best we can. And day by day and moment by moment, we strive to, create happy homes and to be successful in our careers. But what if instead of being a successful homemaker, a successful business entrepreneur, successful doctor, lawyer, janitor, whatever, instead of focusing on the best, being the best of those things, what if instead we focused on being the best version of ourselves that we could possibly imagine? What if we allowed ourselves to let go of can't and embody can? Will. Yes, I will do it. What if we begin to shift it all so that we begin to experience a whole new way of being in the world? We have an opportunity to create a world that is happy and joyful, peaceful and loving. My throat's dry, sorry. Mm, yes. Pardon me, my apologies. We have an opportunity to live from our highest potential. We have the ability to see that potential in others. And by honoring their path, their uniqueness, their beauty, we can create a world that works for the highest and best good of all concerned, but is also peaceful, loving, kind, and respectful, a world that is supportive and enduring, a world where we can love ourselves and love each other and do it without fear, do it without regrets or any other thing, do it without, what are people going to think of me? So here's the thing, what people think of you is none of your business. Yes. That comes from the Course of Miracles as well. What people think of you is none of your business, because truth is they don't know you. They don't know you. Your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your neighbor, they don't know you. They don't. You may not know you yet, but I invite you to get to know you. I'm sure you will discover what a remarkable, beautiful, irresistible being that you truly are. And that as you begin to live in that truth, in that area of excitement and joy, you begin to find that there is just one you, and that joy comes from honoring that. Thank you so much for being here today. We're on to our new schedule, and we will be here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Mountain. And we invite you to join us. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go to the Just One You channel and hit that subscribe link, and then go to New Thought Media and hit the subscribe link there. ntmedia.org is a powerful organization making these shows and many other positive programming available to everyone. So I invite you to really take advantage of it. You're watching The Joy Show here on the New Thought Media Network. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you again next week. Have a most beautiful, loving weekend, and be you, because you already are fabulous. Thank you for watching.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.